So Raila Amollo Odinga was born on the 7th of January 1945 in Meseno, Kisumu County. He was happily married to Ida Odinga and had 4 lovely babies: the late Fidel Odinga, Winnie Odinga, Rosemary Odinga, and finally Raila Odinga Jr. As he progresses and try to learn more about our amazing leader, I'd like to showcase some of the achievements that he shared with us and was able to accomplish throughout his lifetime while he was still here with us. For your information, he was one of the leaders who struggled for the multi-party democracy. And this began in 1982 when he was detained during Moi's time, and he was accused for plotting against the state, in which he later pushed for reforms that led to dismantling the one-party rule in Kenya. He was also an MP for Langata, and he served as the Minister of Energy between 2001 to 2002, where he later got appointed for the Minister of Roads, Public and Works and Housing between 2003 to 2005. So over the years, he assumed leadership of the opposition, building the ODM, the Orange Democratic Movement, becoming the face of reform and dissent. He became the first prime minister in Kenya in a coalition government after the dispute of the 2007 election that led to violence. Odinga and President Kibaki agreed on a power sharing deal. So under the National Accord, Raila Odinga became the first prime minister from April 2008 to 2013, where he played a crucial role in constitutional reforms and democratic strengthening, pushing Kenya toward a new constitution that was promulgated in 2010, reducing the presidential powers as well as enhancing the check and balances of the Constitution of Kenya. Raila Amollo Odinga, being the persistent presidential campaign and electoral reforms activist, he ran for president 5 times. I'm just gonna mention the years: 1997, 2007, 2013, 2017, and finally 2022 against Ruto, each time pushing for electoral transparency and contesting results, claiming fraud. Clearly, some of the wins were not wins, but simnajua tu, you guys. Because I feel like as a country, we need to address this story about corruption and rigging and unfairness, okay? He was a regional diplomatic and a crisis mediator that later in years was involved in diplomatic roles, like when he was sent from Kenya to go mediate a crisis in South Sudan just recently in 2025. Him being a key player in the AU, in the African Union organization for the African continent. We cannot downplay in how this guy has influenced our lives, our political life. He has really made a dent, in our constitutional lives, in our political lives, in how we get to determine and base our decisions based on the constitution that we have right now, in electing our future leaders and electing the leaders we have right now. This is thanks to Raila. Finally, his presence reshaped the country's political contours and doing one-party rule and led to constitutional change, which embodied the opposition resilience to stepping into roles of mediation. His life reminds us that leadership isn't defined just by titles, but by lasting systematic impact. And that's why you're told it's not all about winning, but the process. It's all about the journey. It's all about the journey and not the destination. Because you might find yourself doing the things that you do and you might find it redundant. Hello family, thank you so much for clicking. I am your host, Diversified Wangari, and this is the thepomindkepodcast podcast. This week's episode has really started on such a somber mood because as you can see what is happening like in the streets of Nairobi, in Bungoma, you can name it, Nyanza, all over. And Kenyans are distraught. Everyone is saddened, and you cannot comprehend the loss of a very great, resilient leader. Such a coincidence. And not just because of what has happened this week, but also because of what you're going to be looking at in this episode, that escapism is not an illusion. Well, that brings me to my next point, the fact that we lost a very young person, a very charismatic, energetic, talented journalist, Kenyan journalist named Kimani Mbugua, who committed suicide at 29. Guys, I usually tell you, check on your neighbor, check on your person, check on your person. Like, check to see if they're okay. Just angalia, second guess, usianze kusema, You better check on your person, because Kimani Mbogo was just 29 and he was really battling with depression and anxiety. And I'm so sure, even as you're sharing this video, even as you're watching this video, you have a friend or sibling or a niece or a cousin or a family member or a neighbor who is experiencing depression at this time. Don't assume just because, someone is smiling, someone is having the best time of their life, someone is like, the vibe is vibing. Don't always just assume that they're having the best time of their lives. Just always be willing to check up on how they're doing. And depression is real. Psychosis is real, substance abuse is real, and most of the time they're not even doing this just to abuse the substance or just to get away or just to be malicious, but because it's a cry for help. This episode has really started on such a somber moment, and it's saddening. It's really saddening, and I'm not proud of this. Genuinely not proud of this. So you can't run from yourself. First of all, let's just basing our thoughts and our everything. You cannot run from yourself. You cannot run from your experiences. You cannot run from where you grew up. You cannot run from your family. All you can do is change the kind of people that you have or you're with, the places that you go to, and the things that you eat or you consume, or the things that is nakubamba. Those are the things like you can be able to affect. But one thing that remains constant is the fact that you will always have yourself. You'll always be yourself. You'll always, itakuwa tu wewe all round, okay? Itakuwa tu wewe na wewe na wewe. And all you can do for most of us, whenever we are trying to, change circumstances, or whenever you're trying to, just change the situation, right? You'd always think that you'd want to change your job or your school or maybe where you're living. You just try to change the circumstance, the situation, like how it looks, how it feels. So in today's episode, we're going to look at escapism is an illusion. I don't think many of the young people or many of us, including myself, like young people, want to talk about this, because honestly speaking, escapism is an illusion. You can not run from yourself. You cannot run from your emotions. You cannot run up from how you're feeling or your experiences. Yes, you can run from people, places, and things. But one thing you cannot do is definitely run from yourself. Yes, you can change schools, you can change jobs, you can change houses, you can change location, you can change the regions, you can change the continent. You can even relocate. At a window wishi kwa. It's called Lil Nemo or Port Nemo, the farthest point in the world, and the closest point, if you're on that island, for you it's going to be the ISS. That is the only thing that's going to be closer to you when you're at Point Nemo. Other than that, everything else, land, people, is like 1,000, I think over 1,000 miles, 1,000 kilometers or something. I'm not so sure. The fact that the closest person to you is the ISS on top of you, guys. Wait, guys. So anyway, I really like to talk about escapism being an illusion, because most of us, like, so much is happening in our world today, be it politically, economically, socially, name it. So we're just going to start looking at it from the group level, which includes countries level, like in terms of states, in terms of Kenya, Uganda, whatever, China, UG, US, whatever, you name it, whatever country it is, this is where it's falling into place. Some of the top problems that are being faced, right, from the group level, from the state level, is the Ukraine-Russian war. And literally, today is Friday, right? This happened earlier this week where the Russian drones bombed hospitals in Ukraine that also led to mass excavations. These are things that have been happening, I think, since 2023, if I'm not wrong. Or if I'm wrong, maybe 2021, but it has been quite some time since Russia invaded Ukraine. And these are not conversations that we have every day. But because of me, we're having it right now. So you better deal, okay? So Ukraine invaded Russia and they're trying to find, it's just all about fighting for territory. It seems kind of out of the usual when it comes to like the ordinary person, like the normal citizen. But when it comes to the group level of state levels where states are interacting and trying to find their territories and their boundaries, this is why we see where Russia is coming into play, being like, oh, Ukraine is in Russia's land, so it might as well become Russia and everything. But Ukraine had really fought for their existence and their worth and their boundaries as well. So they're like, no, we are our country ourselves. So please, can you watch your step? Angalia mahali unaenda kabla unikanyage, guy. The US and the European security, you know what? To be honest, I had done a whole research, right? Done a whole research to show you how in the world that we're living in today, there's nothing that you can escape. Like there's trouble everywhere you look, left, right, center, in your country, in your neighboring country, in your continent, in the neighboring continent, in the furthest continent, in the most extreme places. Yes. We're experiencing so much war and conflict, and it's really, really annoying because at the end of the day, it comes back to you as an individual. You're thinking, okay, there are people dying in Palestine, there are people dying in South Sudan, there are people dying in Eastern Congo trying to fight for their lives and even trying to find like the mode of life and everything. But you're here to cooperate, just, it's like no one is getting it. You're trying to do your best. You feel like you want to help, but there's nothing more you can do unless like maybe you're either like the head of the state or like, I don't know, like you play a really key major role in politics. Yeah, just in politics. If you're a leader, a senator or something, that's when you feel like, oh, maybe you can say something. But not really, because the last time we checked, when Boniface and his fellow group had gone to Tanzania to support a fellow party leader, for the leadership and everything, they ended up getting abducted, mistreated, tortured, embarrassed, and demoralized just because of the values and the passion and whatever it is they are standing for or whatever it is they are supporting, in spite of the condition of the country, of the state, of the political field, or whatever it is that was happening. So based on that, we're able to see how it played out, and it was really sad and unfortunate that even our neighboring country can do that to us. Like, sour, even if you're the president, sour, we're not disputing, yes, you're the leader or whatever. Elections are about to happen soon. Fine, you've had like an opposing, someone, just a person, a prominent person, it doesn't matter if whatever, just a prominent person from a different country coming to support your opposing leader, and you also end up capturing them and torturing them and demoralizing them. And it's like, the last time I checked, it's 2025. We're not living in the 1950s. So why are we still being held hostage for our opinions, for our own thoughts and our own values? And and just wanting to stand up for what we think or believe is right. The last time I checked, these are the things that our ancestors, our predecessors, yes, have really fought for us to be able to even just say something, show up, or even just support. You know, support does not necessarily mean rivalry. It just means support. So for us to see even Boniface being tortured like that, a whole man, a whole human being being treated like an animal, like he's not even learned, like he doesn't even know what he's fighting for, is quite disturbing. It's actually very discouraging because it's like, so what does that mean for the rest of us? So if we have a voice, if we have an opposing thought, compared to what it is that the government or even our leaders want. So is that a threat? Is that a problem for us? Like, is that a threat to you as our leaders? Shouldn't it be like constructive criticism? Okay, say, ngoja, before hata nianze kurora, if you're to approach me right now and be like, oh, you know what, but then, you know what, your podcast is boring and this is what we need right now for this specific nini ndo ibambe. As a good podcaster, or as someone who's growing and learning, and someone knows growing and learning, this is something that they take as constructive criticism and they take it in and they own it up to it. Like, haitakuwa big deal, you know, haitakuwa issue. The fact that for me to air my opinion on the opposing issue na unataka kuniandama unishike uniarrest. There's so much going on and I was ready to get into it, but because of the mood of the country, I don't even think that we have the energy or even the capacity to follow through and try and see what is being experienced in other areas. So with us losing Kimani Mbugua and Honorable Raila Odinga in the same week, in a span of 3 days, I feel like it has taken a toll on us as Kenyans and mostly on us as the youth, because emotionally, psychologically, physically, but truly that's just a sign to show us that we can never truly know. You can never truly know that, yes, you're okay, that the person you're hanging out with is okay or they're happy or whatever. Like, you can never get to know. And that's really saddening, because some of the ways that people really like to escape reality and the facts of life, right? The facts. The reality that we like to play in getting away with the facts of life, right? So anyway, some of the ways that we like to escape through that we don't really like talking about or facing is the fact that we like using social medias, we like using relationships. Oh my goodness. Alcohol, and so we go there, overworking. Abusing drugs, actually, abusing drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, just trying any substance that you try to use to get away from reality. I'm already questioning that. Hata kama ni Adderall, whatever, painkillers, there's so many things that people usually use to get away from themselves. And from there's overworking, there's shopping, there's Netflix, binge watching, there is daydreaming, partying, excessive spirituality. Oh my goodness. Kwanzaa, excessive spirituality. I'm afraid of starting this conversation. Because I'm going to be told, oh my God, you're a hater. Oh my God, you're not a believer. You don't know what's going on. Guys, there's a limit to everything. Thank goodness. There's a limit to everything. And not that you're talking about spirituality or Christianity or what. Until the fall of man, until when Adam ate the fruits, everything was meant to last forever. Be it emotions, food, whatever the feelings, everything was meant to last forever, right? But until the point where Adam and Eve eat the fruit, that is where everything went south. Everything went south. The lifespan went short. People started dying. They started getting diseases. Started getting like all these weird things that are just contributing to us having a shorter lifespan. This was because of the fall of man, but not everyone will want to accept that. And it's fine because anyway, God was so kind to us, and because man fell and he disobeyed him and ate the fruit and did everything that came along with him not following through God's plan in the garden. This is how we ended up here, having our own lives and having have to deal with diseases and death and sadness and all these dark emotions that we necessarily didn't need. But you might find that sometimes due to trauma or sometimes loneliness, isolation, sometimes it depends on even external circumstances. Utapata tu msi ako like is a okay, I would say staunch, but an extremist. Extremist is the word. You'd find an extremist in the word, or just any extremist, and I do the most. If it's someone who needs to pray, they'll play. Ooh, they'll pray out loud. They're gonna, do the tithe. They're gonna condemn other people for not doing the right things and things like that. That's just being spiritually excessive. Just as like you might find someone that's maybe happy any tithe every Sunday or every month, because I feel like so you'd find that this person happy any tithe every month, and because they're not doing that, then they're not qualified to be a Christian. And for you, because unapendanga tithe every Sunday, wewe basi ndio Christian number one, Juu sijui unaombangu umeka magoti kwa pulpit, then you're the Christian number one. But this is what we're talking about, the excessive spirituality, because at the end of the day, what really matters is the relationship you have with the Maker. Is that what us as fellow believers see if truly you are praying and you are what you say you are to your God. And that's how whenever you're reading, may I say Matthew, there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, an example, the tax collector, right? Yeah, anakwanga yani ule mtu wa pesa hapa lipa tax nini haya hajui Mungu. He's a man of the word in terms of he follows the law of the land and not God's law, right? And follow the law of the land. And because he does so, right, it would have been so embarrassing for him to be like akipatikana ameenda, he's gone to approach Jesus and ask him about this spiritual kingdom. What do you mean about life after that? What do you mean about this life that you're giving us, this second chance, this salvation? What do you mean? And because of that time where he was coming from, and because of the ideologies, the political precedences, the way he was being viewed, his role in the community at the time, based on his time, it would have been so awkward for him to be seen approaching Jesus and trying to question and trying to find out more about Jesus, about this thing. Either way, he did it. Escapism just gives the temporary relief of, it's like unaipapasa sahi, but later itakuja ikume. It's like you're just putting a bandage on a very huge sore, which later is going to cost you something, because it needs more than a bandage. It needs more than just, covering it up and just moving on. Escapism is never healing. And trust you me, where you left whatever it is you're running from, and no matter how much you run, even if it's for like 10 years, 15 years, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, wherever you left it, that's exactly where you're still going to find it. It usually feels good because, first of all, it numbs the discomfort. It numbs the fact that you're not supposed to be there. It just numbs the way you're feeling and where you're coming from and everything. It numbs the discomfort. It gives the false sense of control. And finally, it provides an instant dopamine, which is most of us are looking for. We're looking for that instant dopamine, that's instant reward, compared to you toiling and, working through, like taking, like step by step, cutting out yourself, taking it step by step, and accomplishing your moments. Pole too, step by step. Some of the ways that you're able to center or to just get away from the fact that you're trying to escape. Some of the ways that you're not just escaping. So some ways that we really counter escaping is naming whatever it is you're feeling. Name whatever it is you're feeling. Not to label it, but to name it. If you're sad, say like I'm sad. If you're hungry, I'm hungry. If you're distraught, I'm really distraught. Just being able to name whatever it is you're feeling. Second of all, the second thing you need to take note of is what it is that you use to escape. What is it that you usually use to get away from the discomfort? Is it the alcohol? Is it the long drives? Is it the long walks? Is it the, hang out with people? Is it the drinking? Is it the smoking? Is it what is it? Like, what exactly is it that you use to try and get away, or to try to run away from what reality is? So you naming it already is a winning point for the both of us. And it's so key, the fact that you're able to label whatever it is that we are using to run away. So the second part that's going to be a bit complicated for us, right? What is it that you're running from? Not many of us are ready to have this conversation, but what is it that we're trying to run from? Are you trying to run away from parenthood? Are you trying to run away from your future? Are you trying to run away from success? Are you trying to run away from your family? What exactly is it that you're trying to run away from? Because, okay, quite aware of that, then whenever you're in a situation, or just whenever you're just doing about life and you're triggered by that specific trigger, if it's either about providing for your family or having to send money home, just something that triggers you, something that triggers you to feel like you want to run away. You getting to know whatever it is, what issue it is, if it's companionship, if it's work, if it's responsibility, if it's self-reflection. What exactly is it? You being able to note and just being aware of whatever it is you're running away from really catapults you to a healing version of yourself and being able to handle whatever it is you're trying to run away from. Oh, but this third option, no one is going to be happy about it. You're not even going to be happy about it because so learn to sit with the discomfort. Not many of us like to hear that. What do you mean learn to sit with the discomfort? First of all, I'm already uncomfortable being here, right? Like sitting and talking to you in front of the camera or in front of people or interacting with people, you're already uncomfortable. But just because you're uncomfortable does not necessarily mean that ati utingia kwa gari uko like, oh my god, niko uncomfortable, I'm going to run away. If you're working in a new place and maybe you guys are having like a, what's it called, like a, how do you call it, like a team building activity or something. And just because you're so shy of feeling some type of way, like how is it relate now, your colleagues or something, then it means that you should run away. This is where I come in, okay? This is where I come in. This is where I come in and I tell you to learn to sit with the discomfort. Sometimes it might even be with your friends, or you might just be doing some activity and it might be something that you want, or it's something that you want and it's not what the group wants. You should be comfortable enough to air whatever it is you're thinking or feeling and being okay with people receiving, whether it's being positively or negative about whatever it is you expressed about what it is you want. Instead of being like, oh my god, mlisema. Okay, a very good example. Guys, I'd like pork for lunch, right? I'd like pork for lunch. And they'd be like, oh no, we don't eat pork. We find it kind of unclean and everything, so we prefer beef or chicken. And instead of you being sad or like being, oh my goodness, no one wants to eat pork. Oh my god, am I the weird one? Just be like, okay, cool. So because you guys are not eating pork, what can we do? You understand? Like, don't feel inferior or left out, or just don't feel saddened just because no one is agreeing with you. But just stick to whatever it is that you want and stay strong and just be yourself and allow yourself to want whatever it is, no matter the circumstance or no matter the surrounding, no matter like how everybody is feeling. Like, wait, at a 3 p.m. Like, Just let it be. Let it be. Okay, girl, let it be. The problem, okay, the reason why I'm really sharing with you this right now is because the problem with escaping how you're feeling or what you're doing or what you're supposed to be doing or how it's supposed to be done, the fact that you're trying to escape it and get away from it and thinking that, oh my God, it doesn't work for me, so I'm going to leave it over there. Just move to the second point. It's never gonna really work because until you address it. And this goes for emotions. It actually goes all as it goes around. It goes around your ideas. Because it's a food for thought. The problem is right where you left it before you got distracted. Because normally the whole point of escaping is you distracting yourself from the problem. So it might be partying, traveling, shopping, binge watching, eating, drinking, you name it. Like any other thing or any other activity that you'd prefer doing compared to you having to face whatever it is you're trying to face or whatever it is obstacle you're trying to face, and you'd prefer doing something else rather than face the obstacle, that is you escaping. Okay, that's you escaping. And our thoughts, emotions, as well as wounds remain inside us until you're able to address them. So that means all your emotion yako ilikuwa na check sana, oh my God, I had feelings zangu but nita address later. In account whatever it is that you had already thought about, experienced, or even felt that unataka kusema lakini you umesema ama because you feel like it's going to take a toll on you, it's going to be too much, it's going to be too much for you or too much for the other person, and you decide to carry it forward or pause it for later, that already is a problem, and that is you escaping. Hata kama umeisave for later, address later, it's okay, it makes sense, but you're still escaping. Avoiding reality, it's much more scarier for us and even much more harder for us to address it. Because the more unaendelea put off, the more unaendelea kulenga, the more uko tu like, pana, I'm going to do it later. The more uko tu like, I can't. To get hot, I cannot. The more unaendelea build up, the more unaendelea sit up. Because one thing I came to notice is hata mimi kama dada yako, I'll run for so long, I'll hide for so long, but you'll still see me, you'll still be able to catch up with me, and itakuwa awkward because I can't imagine. Nilikuwa na take kurun away ama kutry kudeal na problems zangu, nikwambia tu, you know what, I'm sorry, hapo ulichoma ama hapa nilichoma and I'm really sorry, so what are we gonna do next? Another thing that we really like to argue about is that escapism by the way becomes a trap, because now you're used to running away from this problem. You're used to, get away. I'm not used to being here. I'm not used to, anytime I'm feeling uncomfortable or anytime I'm feeling sad, I usually go drink, I usually go for a run, I usually sleep or whatever, right? And now you're not able to access those things, that thing that you usually do whenever you're feeling sad, whenever you're feeling disconnected. And now, because you're not able to access it, what's going to happen? You're going to feel overwhelmed, utaanza feel overstimulated, utaanza feel trapped, utaanza feel like, what is going on? What is this? Because of that, it'll force to have to face it. It will have to make you face this issue. And clearly, that's a very good, clear, loud indicator that you are like hata hujadil na hiyo story. You've not dealt with it, you've not dealt with nothing. So you being able to be like, but now unajua hata si big deal, nini. So the things that escapism costs us is time. Okay? Time, authenticity. Kwanza authenticity, because always you're trying to act like unlike yourself, right? And finally, agency. Agency is the fact that you're not in control of yourself. Distractions are running your life. Your substance abuse is running your life. Your anxiety is running your life. Your depression is running your life. Your circumstances, every other thing outside you is running your life. Any other thing other than you is running your life. So that means loss of agency as well. That leads to stunted healing. which delays dealing with the need for attention, because some things that's why actually most of the time we can hata kwa therapist nakwambianga nini, just take your time, think about what you want, what you feel like. Take some time to get to know yourself. Take some time to know what you think about, how you like it, how, those things. Take some time. The same way you take your time to learn about other people, take your time to learn about yourself and about kenye unajali, about kenye unataka, sangapi, kwa nini, And finally, to conclude this very long podcast, life is more of an experience. It's to explore, it's to have fun, it's to enjoy each other's company, it's to figure out about life. It's not about a predetermined thing that you're supposed to be here, then you try and force yourself to be there. Experience yourself, get to learn yourself, get to learn the people that you're with, get to learn the experiences that you're going for, if it's whatever it is, whatever hobbies, whatever careers it is, like take time yako to just figure out whatever it is you want and what makes sense to you and expand through that. Like expand, okay? Expand 1,000%. And finally, escapism is a detour to back to the same place. Escapism is just a detour back to yourself. Oh my goodness. So anyway, escapism is an illusion, because hata kama utahepa for so long, utaenda ukate kona hivi kama umerudi to where exactly you had left everything, because escapism is not healing. Escapism is just escapism. And based on that, this episode has just been, I don't even know how I'm feeling. Like it's just been somber because so much has happened this week, and I'd ask you guys, like I'd ask us tubaki tu pamoja, let's commune together, be your brother's keeper, and I guess until the next time, I wanted to say peace, but please to like, subscribe, and until the next time we meet, peace.